surprised you with how they've done this far?
I tell you, I think right now it's probably been more the receiver group, being that there's some young guys in there that haven't necessarily played a little bit last year, but now they're in some roles where that's picked up for them. The way that they just responded to everything with some of the things that we're doing a little bit differently than we have in the past and different things like that. So I think that group is really kind of been a surprise, yet still has so far to go to be ready to go. But we're definitely encouraged with what's in that position.
Where are you under installs? I mean, do you have everything in at this point? Are you still installing? Where are you with that part of your?
I think we're a good bit of the way through the install. Having the way that we're allowed to do with some of the summers and different things that we're allowed to do now, all puts you ahead of the curve a little bit in that aspect. So like where we are as far as the install goes, and the real important part about that is always just being able to do what the kids can do. It's all about the tempo and the speed of your installs, depending on where they are mentally and physically, and still progressing the way we need to go. But I like where we are with that.
With the quarterbacks, have you been satisfied just with the not too many balls hitting the ground, taking care of the ball, those kinds of fundamentals, I guess?
Well, those things are always so variable when they're throwing to everybody in the program, all the receivers, all the tight ends, and what you're really doing is installing the offense, installing the concepts, and getting everybody involved and giving everybody an opportunity to compete. As you begin to narrow the scope and bring that back to the core guys and the guys that are going to be in there playing, and you want that gel to come together a little bit more, you'll start to see a lot of less drops, a lot of less balls on the ground, more continuity, more timing, and all those things as they get in sync with each other. We've had some days where there's been too many drops and balls on the ground, and then we've had some days where there haven't been many on the ground. So just looking for that level of consistency, which I think we'll gain as we begin to close the scope a little bit.
We've heard a lot about Georgia Tech's triple option. What do they do defensively? Butch mentioned a little bit that they have some nuances defensively.
For me, being on the offensive side of it, I had a chance to face it 3 years at Miami. So I had a good feel for how we wanted to play the game year in and year out against them, being that they were an ACC coastal foe. That was an important game for us each and every year. I think they present challenges. They present a lot of challenges, not only to the defense, but to you as a whole, as a football team, and how you go in and play that game special teams-wise. The offensive plan towards playing that game and working all three units, as one. Come together. So it's more of a team thing when you get ready to play that football team, but they do present some challenges that are unique to any of your other opponents.
Does it change your game plan? I know that Johnson was talking about how they shrink the game to emphasize the execution, to emphasize turnovers. Does it change how you game plan because of their style of play, or do you still run your offense as you would against them?
You always have to run your offense. I think one of the things that come into focal point is doing things that guys do really well. Is what you have to do offensively. You have to take care of the football. That becomes paramount. You cannot turn the football over. You have to possess the football with that football team a little bit. So things that you do really well that are core things to you, you have to have a high level of execution. And if you're doing that, that's what you do as an offense as your part. You want to do that week in and week out. But especially with a football team like that really gets the football and can hold it for a long time, you have to make sure offensively that you're executing at a high level. So a little bit, you do tailor some things that fits you best.
I'm sure Coach Beard's preferences play into this too, but you mentioned all the receivers that have kind of stood out at times. How many of those guys would you like to rotate ideally in a game? How many do you think is too many maybe?
That always depends. Every game plan and every game environment you're going to be in is going to be a little bit different. And you're going to ask more of some guys and a little bit less of some guys. I think the real big thing is with the receiver group is getting a group to understand that your number can be called at any time. And it's about getting the group better, not in particularly 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 players. It's about that group understanding their roles, settling into their roles and becoming masters of those. And understanding at any time your number will be called and you'll be counted on as a Tennessee Volunteer.
What do you like about your running backs behind John Kelly? Have they met your expectations? Have they exceeded, once the pads got on? Here's talk about maybe that trio of guys or 4 guys behind John Kelly.
A lot like the receiver group. They've kind of exceeded some expectations a little bit as far as just their ability to retain the amount of information that's been thrown at them. And the big part about being a running back in our system is you're on special teams. you play a host of special teams as well. So being able to retain the special teams information, the protections, the run reads, and all of those things, I think those young kids have done a real good job. But it's a testament too to the leadership they've been getting from John Kelly through the summer and up in camp and the times that we weren't able to meet with him. He spent extra time with them and teach them, have taught them our system and how we do things and those things. So I'm very excited about those 3 young backs, and they're going to all have a role, and they're going to all find themselves playing for us at some point.
I know tight end can be a tricky position for freshmen